Right, good evening. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Good evening, sir.
Right, okay, here we are going to start the second session of the action research. Right, here I'm going to share the presentation link. That first join with the presentation. Right, the link is available in the chat box now. Open your chat box and click on it. Take 1 minute to join with the presentation. Right, okay, now 6 of you are joined with the presentation. I'm going to start the lesson. Here, while I'm doing the lesson, you can join with the presentation also, right? Uh, if you are having any trouble with the link, then please tell me. Then I can deliver the link, presentation link again. Right,
Sir,
here the
send
action
the
research,
link, sir,
sorry,
again.
you need the link again. Right now, the link is available again. I posted there in the chat box, right? Right here, the action research that yesterday we start the first session, first part. Uh, right, that first we learn about what is research. Then we identified the research as a systematic process. Also, we learned about there are two types of research, general research and the action research. Here, got some examples. Here, we discussed some examples that you can do in the research in the field. Uh, then learning objective, under that we identify the normal research and the action research, the difference between normal and action research. Right. Then we discussed in detail what is about the action research. Right. We identified it is as a cyclical process having four main steps: planning, acting, observing, and reflecting. Right. That's the thing we are focusing today. Before that, again summarize what I did in last night. Under big points, we identified three things: the professional growth, participatory, and knowledge creation. To create the knowledge, there are two things we are using: active intervention and reflection action. Right? We discussed in detail what is about the reflection, reflection in action. Right. Then we identified the action researcher as the internal person, uh, because that mainly the action. If you are doing action research, you want to focus your internal environment. Therefore, we can identify the researcher. We can identify it as a internal person. Right. Here, the things are we discussed yesterday. Uh, Then the other main point, this particular word, that epistemology, meaning generating knowledge, that way of creating, that doing a research mean generating new knowledge. How you are going to generate the new knowledge? Through personal experience, in-depth context understanding, and critical reflection. Right. The things we discussed under personal experience, mainly you can observe. By observing, you can create the knowledge, new knowledge, and challenges. By facing the challenges, also you are creating new knowledge. Then contextual awareness also very important to create the knowledge. Especially you want to identify the social and cultural dynamics among the environment or students. Then also need to uh, know about the organizational structure. It is also important. Then reflection in action, we discussed in detail. Also discuss some examples. Right. Then compare the normal and action research. Right. Did one example, scenario type example also. Right. Then discussed about the ethics. Ethics also important before start your research work. Then you need to get all the permission and the type of ethics you want to follow throughout the research. Right. This is the place where we stopped yesterday. Now we are going to start from this point, the action research cycle. Right. This action research cycle having four main steps that already we identified. These four steps: planning, acting, observing, and reflecting. Right. Here we are going to study this each step separately. First, we are focusing on the planning part, right? Whatever the identify under planning, then actually you want to do when you are start a research work, right? Therefore, it is very important to identify the important things under each stage, right? The first focus on the planning part, right? Here it defines the things you want to do under planning. Stage one. That first it says identify a specific problem or gap. Right? This is the place where you are identifying your specific problem, right? By observing or by reflecting, there are so many methods to identify the problems that later we'll discuss what are the available method to identify the problem, right? Then you have to identify the specific problem, what are the problem you are going to solve. Right? That's the part of planning. Or gap, that here specific word called gap, that here I'm not going to explain what is gap now. It will come again another place. Then I will explain the gap. In this case, remember you want to identify a specific problem uh, in your research. That's the part of planning. Right. After you identify the specific problem, then you want to analyze the root causes. Right. What are the reason why that particular problem is arise? The reason, the main reason you want to analyze and identify and analyze the main reason why that particular problem is arise. Right. Then after analyze the causes, then develop a strategic intervention plan. That means how you are going to solve your identified problem. What are the action you are going to take to solve the problem, right? You have to plan that, the actions, strategic invention plan, how you are going to invent, right? Intervention with your activities, right? That first you need to design and plan the activities, then you can do it in the next step, right? That in this under planning, what you want to do under planning is you want to plan what you are going to do in the next step. That means how you are going to solve the problem, right? Doing a workshop or doing identifying, giving some training, right? Then the things you are expect to do to solve the problem, you have to plan in this way, right? Develop a strategic intervention plan. Then determine required resources and timeline. Another important part, you want to complete that one also under planning. What are the resources you are going to use throughout the research, and also the timeline, right? You want to specify a timeline to end the research, right? Effective planning sets the foundation for successful and measurable outcome, right? Therefore, you need to plan your research very well. Right. The same time, I am discuss the example regarding the each step also. Therefore, one example I am going to discuss one example under planning also. Right. Look at the example here. Right. The problem identification. That first you need to identify a problem. Read the problem here. The primary objective is to address the difficulty faced by three students, given the names also within bracket, in identifying the main idea of given paragraph. Right. That suppose the teacher, when in the teaching and learning process in the classroom, the teacher identifies there are three students. They are facing difficulties to getting the meaning, right? Meaning of a paragraph. By reading the paragraph, that basic thing is you want to get the meaning. But these three students, it's a difficulty to get the meaning of the paragraph. They are having some problem. They don't understand then what they are after reading the paragraph, right? It's not a language that any language, right? Once we give in a paragraph, by reading it, the student should be able to, normally students should be able to understand it. But these three students not understand. They are having a difficulty to get in the things in the paragraph. That's the problem. That problem identification you want to do under planning. Right. Then once you identify the problem, then the reason, you want to analyze the reason, root causes analysis. Right? You want to find out the reasons and analyze it. In this case, this example, weakness identified in the ability to organize facts and information logically. The teacher understand that students, these specific three students are difficulty with organize the facts. Right? Identifying the facts and organize it logically, information logically. Right? They are having difficulties. They are having this the reason why that above problem. They are having problem with organize the facts logically. That's the root cause analysis. Right, now you want to plan it. How you are going to solve this problem? Intervention strategy. Then you want to plan this intervention strategy here. Introduce of mind mapping technique to visualize paragraph structure effectively. Right, what the teacher is going to do, use the mind map. Right, mind map is a type of diagram. Organize the related fact logically. Right, I think all of you are having the idea about what is mind map. Right? The mind map, that simply we can say that mind map, the central, having the central idea, then related idea you can put around the central idea. Right? Then if you are having more, the sub unit for each sub ideas, then you can put this further ideas around the subunits, right? Like that, you can expand this mind map according to your requirements, right? This mind map technique, that teacher, in this case, the teacher expect to use mind map technique to develop their skills. That mean reading skills, right? Right, then the same time, the same planning step, the last step, execution timeline. A dedicated 1 week intensive training program scheduled for implementation. Right, 1 week. Right, within 1 week, that teacher expect to develop their students, right, by giving a training, intensive training program. Right, that's the way how the teacher plan to solve that particular specific problem here. Right? Is it clear that point, this problem? Right. I assume that all of you are okay with the problem identification here. Under planning, the specific point you want to remember under planning, the first need to identify a problem. Then you want to identify the reason why that problem exists or arise. Then you need to plan an intervention strategy. That means what are the steps you are going to take for solve the problem. Right. Then after that, finally, you want to give in a timeline. These are the things you want to remember when you are doing the action research for your environment. Right. One activity, short activity here. Right. Try to give in the answer for this. Still, one student giving the answer. Please try to give in the answer. Yeah. 9 of you are joined with the presentation. Therefore, I expect 9 responses. At least 9 responses. In the Zoom class, there are 17 students there. One answer in the chat box. Then what happened to others? Only one answer there. Right. Now here 4 and 5 answers. Then we can discuss the question according to the planning pace for Kamal, Nimal, and Sunil. What is the primary intervention strategy selected to help them identify the main idea of a paragraph? Right. Now look at the answers of you. That most of you mark the green, yellow color one. Then look at the yellow color answer. Introduction of mind mapping technique. Yes, that's the correct answer. That earlier very clearly mentioned that to solve that problem, the teacher used the mind mapping, mind map technique. Right. That first teacher need to give in a train how organize that particular words from the paragraph organized logically. To do that, the best thing is using the mind map technique. Right. Therefore, the answer for this question is mind mapping. Then 2 of you mark the blue color one, a 3-week intensive training program. That's the way of doing this this problem solution. Right. That's the way of doing the things. Right. How actually you are doing these things through a intensive training program. But the concept you are using to solve that problem, technique you are using to solve that problem, mind mapping. Right? Mind mapping. Therefore, the answer should be C. Right? You can change the answer here. Those who are mark the blue color one. 2 of you mark the blue color one. Right, 2 answers from the chat box. This giving the same answer. Introduction of mind mapping technique. Right, here I'm stop the activity now. Move into the second step or second example, second step of the action research process. Right, acting. The second phase is the acting or act. Right, that means this is the stage. You are actually uh, convert your planning into actual. Right? implementation. You are going to implement your strategies to solve the problem. Right? This is the stage. Here given some important point that launch the intervention, prepare for unforeseen challenges, manage practical logistic in the workplace. Right, that in the earlier example, they are selected the technique called mind map. Right, then also plan how to do that mind map through that first the teacher supposed to give in a training program, the 20 minutes per day, the training program to do how use the mind map to organize the work. Right. In second step, this underacting, the actually doing that program. Right. This is the stage where convert your planning into actual, right? Actual implementation. Right. Then look at the example. Right. Example here. The same example, they continue in the same example. Then you need to focus on the first one, how intervention commencement. Conduct a daily 20-minute session, right? Daily 20-minute session focused on teaching students how to extract key information using mind mapping. Right. Here the intervention that earlier I mentioned it, the teacher supposed to conduct a 20-minute session per day. Right. That the 20-minute session, teacher teach how organize the word through logically through the concept mind mapping. Right. Then another thing to focus under this stage, preparing for adjustment, taking specific steps to simplify and clarify complex vocabulary in text during the initial implementation days. Right, that the teacher should prepare for some adjustment if they are having some complex vocabularies. Right, in that case, the teacher should have some adjust. If they are find some complex vocabularies, then we want to avoid. For the initially, we want to avoid. Then later, you can take action for giving idea for complex vocabularies. For the first, they have to give in some simple words to understand and organize the things in the concept that mind mapping. Right. Then managing challenges. Right. One of the challenge, right, that teacher doing the 20 session program, one of the challenge the teacher has to face, the focus. Right. The student attention should get with the this program or 20-minute session. The teacher follows some specific technique for that, utilizing vibrant colors, right? Vibrant colors and visual diagram extensive to maintain student focus and engagement level, right? One of the challenge actually as a teachers you want to face in the classroom to get the student attention and the engagement level, right? To increase the engagement level and the student focus, one of the technique that teacher can use, they can use attractive visuals in the classroom. Right? One example, vibrant colors that utilize vibrant colors and visual diagrams. Right? Therefore, the teacher can follow any thing that support to improve the student attention and the engagement level. Right. These are the things you want to focus in the second step, act. Right. Then to activity, right. Write down the answer, mark the answer for this activity. Right here, 9 of you are sending the answers. During the acting phase of the intervention, which specific technique is utilized to address the challenge of maintaining student focus and engagement. Right. The answer is very clear. However, look at your answers. 9 of you are sending the answers. Most of you are marked the green color one, using vibrant colors and visual diagram extensively. Yes, that's the correct answer. Teacher use attractive visuals to get the student engagement level and the focus. Right. One answer here, blue color. One student marked the blue color one, implementing daily 20-minute verbal only lecture. Right. Actually, that's not the answer. That's the activity doing by the teacher uh, to give in a train how to use that concept or mind map to organize the word logically. Right, given a training. In the training period, the teacher want to get the student attention and the engagement level. That question asks what are the technique the teacher followed to get the engagement level and the student focus. Right. One of the technique the teacher follow using vibrant colors and visual diagrams. Therefore, the answer should be the second one, B. Right. One answer from the chat box also. It's vibrant colors and visual. That's also correct. Right now, all of you mark the correct answer. Right. Now I am stop that part and move to the third step. Right. That first step, planning, then act or acting. Then third one, say observe. Right. Observing. Right. Under observing, there are three things you want to consider. The mainly you want to consider the data collection. This is the place where you are going to collect the data. The data is generated because of the activities you are doing in the second step. Right? Data generated mainly because of your intervention. The intervention occurred the second step. Right? While you are doing the activities, throughout the activities, you can observe what the students doing and students' behavior also. Right? By observing, by discussing, then you can collect info that the data collect. Right? That's the data collection methods. Data generated in the second step because of our activities. Then you want to uh, think about how this generated data collect. Right? The methods, some of the methods available in the second key term methods, then you can use the journals, interviews, surveys, or performance metrics, such kind of things you can use to collect the data. Right. Then also you need to focus on the evidence. Right? Document changes to prove the effectiveness of the intervention. Right? You need some evidence to prove your intervention, right? Effectiveness of your intervention. Right. Here under observing, what you want to focus, the mainly data collection. Right? Data is generated in the second step, acting step. If you are doing activities, then data are generated. Right. This generated data you want to collect. That's the third step. Actually, the second and third step that actually happen in parallelly. But we are to easy to understand. It's separate, second and third. Right? To collect the data, you can follow various things that you can observe. Right? You can discuss with your participants, or you can give in a set of question as a survey. Right? You can observe the documents that completed through the activities. You can use these methods to collect the data. Right. Again, you need to some evidence to prove your effectiveness of the intervention also. Right. Now try to apply these three things to the example that earlier we discussed. The same example. Here I am continue for the third step. Observation, the data collection. Then look at the statements here under data collection. First read it. Recording the frequency of students correctly identifying main idea after reading through 5 different paragraph samples. Right. Here, the one of the important data the teacher going to collect. That teacher assign 5 paragraph. Then teacher count how many times the student identify the meaning correctly. Right. That's the important for the teacher. From that point, the teacher can understand the students understand better or not. Right? The number of time the student can understand better, the number of time increase mean the intervention is okay. Right? If the number of times decrease mean they need more intervention. Right. Then what are the methodologies? Right? What are the methodologies that teacher use to collect this data? Maintaining detailed observation logs. Right? They are using that when the time of intervention, the teacher use some observation papers. Right? Observation also known as observation logs. The teacher can refer these observation logs to collect the data. Right? Regarding student interest level and behavior pattern. This observation log, the teacher can mark the student interest and the interest level and the behavior patterns. Right? By looking at these observation logs, the teacher can understand the student interest level and the behavior patterns. Right, then evidence, that what are the evidence that teacher want to get the evidence to prove the effectiveness of the intervention. Collecting student generated mind maps. Collecting student generated mind map and completed worksheet. These are the evidence that teacher can collect the student generated mind maps and the completed worksheet. Right, that's some activities you want to do with your student after giving the training of how to build up the mind map. Right, after giving training, this teacher want to do some activities. Right, there are some because of these activities doing with your student, some output is generated. This output generated the paper base mind map. The teacher can collect as evidence this mind map and student generated mind map and the completed worksheets also. Right, that's as tangible artifacts of the learning and progress space. Right, then move to the next activity. This activity is based on the third step and observation. Right, now try to do this one. Right, I think the time is okay for this activity. Only 5 answers for this question. Try to put more answers here. Why? Only 5 there. Observation, What is specifically recorded as part of data collection process to measure student progress? What is specifically recorded as part of data collection process to measure the student progress? Right. Then look at your answers. Right. All of you marked the green color answer. Right. Then look at the green color one. The frequency of students correctly identify main idea across 5 paragraphs. Yes, that's the correct answer. Right. Mainly the teacher want to identify how the understanding under by reading the how far the student reach the understanding level. Right. To do that, frequency of student, that teacher have to calculate the frequency of student, how many times that correctly identify the main ideas. Right, therefore, the correct answer is the B answer. B here, one answer from the chat box also, that's also correct. Right, that's the end of this activity here. Now move into the last step, step number 4. Right. What you want to do under step number 4, reflecting. Right. Here, the main point you want to focus, analyze the collected data. The previous stage, collect the data. Right. Now you are going to analyze. Right. Analyze these data. To analyze the data, they are using various techniques. Right. You can organize your data in ascending or descending order, and then you can refer the data. That one way of analyzing. Or you can organize your data in the form of tables, or you can put your data in a graph. Right? Like that, you can analyze the data. Right. Then, and second point, you want to focus the evaluate what worked and what didn't. Right? Throughout the data analysis, you can understand what are the things, what worked and what are the things that didn't work. Right. Then, third, determine the next step based on the insight. Right? Based on the data analysis, then you want to decide, right? We want to do another step or not. Right? If you're that finally you can decide once you give in the paragraph to the student, the students are able to completely 100% understand the paragraph. Then it's okay. Then you can stop the research. Right? But normally, if you are doing the one round, it will not complete or will not achieve your target. That's the normal. Right? You must do the second step also. Right. Here the place under reflecting, you are decide what you want to do next. Right? Another round or not. Right. Then look at this example. The same example under reflection. Analysis. Two students improve, right, after data analysis, that here the result. Two students improved their progress by 80%. One student still need more guidance. Right. That means the researcher, right, not complete, not achieve the 100% level. Right? Two students are okay, that high percentage there, 80%, but still having 20%. Right? One student still need more guidance. Right. After first round, the teacher reach some up to some extent level, but not the 100%. Then look at the success. Mind mapping was that for that success, that 80% is somewhat success because the students are getting the 80% because of using the mind map. Mind map was very effective because it support the visual learning. That's the reason why success up to 80%. Right. Then next step, plan new strategy to teach difficult vocabulary and the next cycle. Right. Maybe that 80%, that two student, the remaining 20% because of the difficult word, right? Difficult vocabulary. Therefore, the teacher want to get some action to develop the difficult vocabularies. Right? And also teacher have to think what are the guidance should taken for the other student. Right. Then in this case, the teacher should want to do the next cycle also. Right. That's the way we can follow the action research cycle. Do this question also. Right. Do this one. Right. Here, six of your sending the answers based on the analysis and next step identified in the reflection phase. What is a primary goal for the next cycle of the intervention? Right. Then look at the answers. Right. All of you are given the same green color answer. Developing a new strategy specifically to address difficult vocabulary. Yes, that's the correct answer. Right. Seven of you are sending the answer or seven are correct. Right. That teacher focus on to in the next step. The teacher want to focus on to difficult vocabulary. Right. Right. Okay. That's the end of the step, each step in the action research cycle. Right here, we are having a written activity. Try to answer these activities also. Right. This is a written one. Right. You have to take 5 to 10 minutes to complete the activity. Right. The same in the slides you can use to write down the answers. If it is difficult or if any technical issues, then you can write down the answers on a piece of paper and upload, take a photo and upload in the Zoom environment. Right. Okay. Start it now. Right. Take 5 to 10 minutes to complete it. Right, I think time is okay for this activity. 7 of you are trying to send in the answers. Then try to do these activities. Then you can understand better about the how to do the action research. Right. The first question they are asking to write down the stages of the action research cycle. It's very easy. Plan, act, observe, and reflect. Right. Look at one answer and the same time here the Manisha's answer. Planning, acting, observing, and reflection. Right. Then second question, during the plan stage, what 4 specific action should practitioner take? Right. Here it is also important to know these 4 actions, 4 specific actions. Right. That first need to focus on the onto the identifying problem. Right. Need to identify a problem. Right. Once identify the problem, then you need to analyze it. That means the reason. Right. You want to find out the reason why that particular problem is arise. That's the second thing you need to work. Right. After that, third one, you need to build up a plan for solution. Right. Solution the identified problem. That the fourth one you need to focus. Third one, then finally you want to identify the resource that need to complete the research, right? And also need to focus on the time frame, resource and the time frame, right? These are the 4 things you want to focus under planning stage. Look at the answers. One answer for of you: identify a specific problem, analyze the root causes, developing strategic intervention plan, determine required resources and timeline. Yes, these are the 4 things you need to focus. Right here, the Nilu Shika also giving the same answer. The question 1 and 2 is okay. Right, then look at the third one. In the act stage, what does it mean to manage practical challenges? Manage practical challenges, right? When you are doing the things that act mean, you are going to convert planning into actual, right? While you are doing planning into actual, then you want to do more activities. That means your intervention period. Then what type of challenges you want to face? Then you need to identify these challenges. So that one example earlier we discussed to get the focus or engagement level of the student. Then need to give in some uh, solution for these challenges also. Right. Then look at your answers here. Third question, no answer. Right. Manage in real world challenges. Intervention commencement, preparing for actually you want to think how to that as an example, right? You can explain this question through example, right? The challenge you can face during the intervention period, right? That earlier we discussed one example to get the focus, so engagement level, right? Then maybe sometimes the time, right? You allocate some time in the planning step, but when you are doing it actually, you need more time to do that. Right? Unexpectedly, you need more time. Right? Then managing time is another challenge. Right? Like that, with the example, you can explain the answer for question number 3. Right? Then look at the next one. What are the 3 components involved in the observe stage for gathering evidence? Right. Yes, that direct question. The 3 components here you want to focus: data collection, methods, and evidence. Right. You need to know how collect the data, then methods of collecting data, and then you need to prove your effectiveness of the intervention. Right? That means evidence. Right. Then what is the ultimate goal of the reflect stage before starting new cycle? The reflect stage, right? Here you need to analyze the data and get the result. Based on the result, you want to decide the next step, right? What you are going to do next. Stop the action research in this stage, or you want to do it again, right? The second round, you want to get the second round. Right? These decisions you want to take under reflect. Right? Under reflect, mainly you need to analyze the data what you identified in the previous step. After analyzing, you get the result. Right? By looking at the result, then you can get the decision. Right? The continue the second round or stop the research or research. Right, here these are the question you need to focus for these 5 questions here. Right, now move to the next slide. Right, identifying the problem. Another important area, identify the problem, the way how you are going. That the identifying problem is the part of planning, the first step. Right, then you want to know how to identify. Right? Identify the problem. That immediately you can't identify a problem. That normally at least you want to spend 2 or 3 months. Right? Identify a problem. Right? In your case, actually, only we are giving allocate 2 months, right? To identify a problem. Next month and the following month, you have to identify a problem by observing your classroom. Right? The methods of identify. How you can identify a problem. Right? Look at the next slide. Right, here giving some ideas of collecting or identify the problems. Right, reflective practice. The first one is reflective practice. Then structured observation, collaborative inquiry, and evidence review. These are the 4 main uh, activities. So 4 main things you can do to identify the problem. The reflect. What's the meaning that reflective practice? The reflective practice means you are referring your own things, right? Own notes. It may be your own journals. Right? You can refer your own notes, right? Own things. By referring your own things, you can identify a problem. Right? When you are in the classroom teaching, as a teacher, there are different types of documents you have to maintain in yourself. Right? What are the documents you are maintaining? Lesson plan, right? Then reflection notes, lesson notes, right? Week note, like that. Many types of documents you have to maintain yourself. Right? By referencing these notes, then you can identify a problem. Right? For example, suppose a reflection note, right? You are maintaining a reflection. By referring this reflection that identified that one student in the classroom normally absent. That means you are referring your register. Register is maintained by the teacher, the teacher's document. Right? By referring this document that you identify, one student is normally absent at least 2 or 3 times per week. Right? Then you can understand there is a problem with that student. A reflective practice. Right. Then another way of identify problem is structured observation. Right? Structured observation, that you can observe your classroom while you are in the teaching and learning. This observation actually you can do directly as well indirectly. Right? That means sometimes the students know they are observing by the teacher, but sometimes the students don't know the observed by the teacher. That's indirect. The structured observation actually type of direct observation. Right. then while you are in the teaching and learning process, that you can observe the student behavior. Then how they are facing the assessment. Like that, there are many things there you can observe. Right? That sometimes that you can, by observing, you can understand that there are some set of students, they are not focused to your lesson, or they are not doing your assessment. Once you assign the assessment to your student, but this set of students are not doing this one. Right? You observe that. Right. Then another point, collaborative inquiry. Right? Leveraging peer discussion and stakeholders interview to gain multifaceted perspective on shared organizational problem. Right? You can discuss with the various parties. Right? If you are doing the, if you are after select your participants, then with the participant, there are various other parties with the participants, like their parents, peers, the previous teachers. Right? You can discuss that collaborative work. You can do collaboratively discuss with them to learn more about the problem. Right? Then evidence review is another one. Analyze historical performance data, artifacts, and administrative records by referring the various types of historical performance. Right? Administrative records, the progress report, right? That type of then lesson notes also you can refer, right? By looking at the students' books or lesson notes, right? You can identify the problems. Right. These are the things that mainly we are using to identify the problems, but more than that, right? You can identify, there are more various methods to identify the problem. Right. Then look at the next slide. One example here. When you are considering the problem, this problem you can identify it as one that initially you are identified as the observed problem. Right? Observed problem. Later, you can convert this observed problem into research question. Right? That directly you are not going to build up the research question. It's not possible, or it's not a proper way. That first you need to identify an observed problem. By using one of the method that earlier discussed, you can identify an observed problem. Right, in here, one example that we are discussing a few examples. That first one, improving spoken English engagement. That's the theme, right? Here, the observed problem is grade 8 student. That teacher teach in the grade 8 student exhibit significant reluctance to communicate in English. Participation remained low despite a student processing sufficient foundation vocabulary. Right, that there are some of the student group, they are reluctant to speak, communicate with each other. Right. However, they are having the sufficient foundational vocabulary. Even though they are having the sufficient foundational vocabulary, they are reluctant to speak with each other. That's the observed problem. Right? Then you need to convert this observed problem into research question. Right. When reading the research question, this research question should have the way of you are going to solve and the question, the both thing. That if the better research question mean you need to combine the way of you are going to solve that problem and the question. Then look at the research question here, read it. Through which interactive strategies can student engagement in spoken English activities be effectively enhanced within the classroom? Through which interactive strategies? That here not focus on a specific strategy. That the better one is you need to focus a specific strategy. For example, that I want to say you here, this is not the completely best research question. It's good research question, but not the best one. Right? For the best research question, it should have the way of you are going to, the method or technique of you are going to use to solve the problem. That if you want to convert this research question into best one, then what you want to do the changes. Here they are not specify a specific method. Right? They are trying to get the best method. They are trying to get it from the research. Right? If you can say that through a group method, right? Using group method, the teacher should want to improve the student engagement, the speaking abilities, skills of the student through the group method. Right? In this question research, that having the question as well the method you are expecting to use to solve the problem. Right, strategic objectives also you want to mention when you are write down the research question. It is important the objective, write down the objectives also to calculate that. In this case, in this example, the objective as objective to calculate high confidence learning environment and increase in engagement by implementing the target interactive speaking techniques. Right, here the one example. Look at another example. Then I am giving activity to you, assign activity. Then in yourself, right, the think and try to write down a research problem, research question. Then think that I will give the time for do that. Until before that, we are going to discuss some examples. That example one. Then take another example. Improving max word problem solving. Max squared problem solved. That's the theme, right? In your research also, there should be a theme. It is different from the research question and observed problem, right? Normally, in the cover page, you are putting the improved, theme in the first, that cover page. The first page, you can input the research question. That later I will again, I will discuss in the format of your reports, then I will explain it again. That remember until that. Right, in this question, this example, what the observed problem? By using the methods that earlier we discussed, then you can identify a problem, observed problem. Right, students struggle with multi-step word problem. Students struggle with a multi-step word problem. They often misunderstand the context and fail to identify the key information required to reach solution. Right, the teacher identified that using one of the method that earlier we discussed. Teacher identified or teacher observed that students struggle with multi-step word problem. Right, I think you know, you're familiar with the multi-step word problem. There are some mathematics problem. You want to write down the statement step by step to get the solution. Right. The students in this classroom having difficulties to write step by step and get the solution. Right. That's the observed problem. Right. They often, that further it says, they often misunderstand the context and fail to identify the key information required to reach the solution. Right. From this observed problem, then you want to convert this observed problem, should want to convert into research question. Right. Then look at the research question. Then try to understand this research question is the best one or not. Can the use of visual aids and graphics organizers enhance students' ability to solve mathematical word problem effectively? Right. Yeah, I think this one is the best because the way of solution, right? Way of built up the solution also available. Right? How they are going to develop the student word step mathematical skills. Develop the word step mathematical state using visual aid and graphic organizers. Right? Teacher expect to use visual aids and graphic organizers to solve this problem. Right? The solving technique is available. And also to what this solving technique, these visual aids and graphic organizers, they are going to apply to what? To solve mathematical word problem effectively. Both question and the answers as way of solution is available in the question. Therefore, this research question is better than the previous one. Right. Then objectives, strategic objectives also you want to mention to support student in building better understanding and strategy development for word problem through the implementation of diagrams and graphic designers. Right? In that way, you should have to write down the strategic objectives also. Right. Here, the second example, that's a different subject. Right. Then after observing, determine the observed question and the research question, then you need to put a problem statement also. Here giving some features, how you strong your problem statement. Clearly defined and accurately described based on the verifiable real world observation, manageable within the available scope and the time, impactful explanation, explaining why the issues matter. Right. Right. Here that later will again come to that point, the problem statement. Right. Try to do this activity, another activity based on the examples we discussed earlier. Right. Two examples we discussed earlier. Right. Take 5 to 10 minutes again to complete the activity here. Right. Try to do that. Right. Here, I think you send the answers. Only 4 of you are sending the answer for this question. Right, you can do it. Here, that suddenly I need to stop the session because there's some personal matter. Therefore, I stop this session today for somewhat earlier. Right. Then you can complete this question and also try to build up a research observed question and the research question, right? Uh, then at least 3 or 4 research and observed question, and also try to apply each stage, right? What you want to do not in the planning, right? For the identified problem, what you want to do in the planning, what you want to do in the act, observed like that. Prepared at least 2 research question, then we can discuss in the next time. Right, okay. Then thank you very much for the participation. Then I will stop the session for now. Right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Right, good night to you all.